I full on agree with you. I do think Mr. Negative will be the secret little twist villain of the story.
I sold you.
Huh?
I don't like it. Hold on. All right, welcome back to Tikio Takes, and in this video, I am joined by my friend Cam, and we're going to go into our last-minute theories and predictions for this film because a lot that could happen, and we're going into this with a lot of questions, and hopefully they all get answered. This movie has to do a lot, and we're both very excited. So I think let's go ahead and start with the first discussion around this movie. So as I said earlier, there's a ton of villains and rumored villains in this movie. So Cam, my brother, who's the main villain in this movie?
I'm not sure, and that is really intriguing.
It is. It is. It is. It is kind of going to a movie. There's nothing better than going to a movie kind of blind. Like I remember, I think both of us went into the Batman movie, the Pattinson one, not knowing we didn't watch the trailers for it. At least I didn't. Like all I knew is that Pattinson's Batman. Let me go check it out. I knew nothing. I didn't even know it was a 3 hour long movie. Like it was awesome, and there's a lot of mysteries with this film. Me personally, the biggest rumor obviously is that Sadie Sink's character will be the villain of this movie. I personally believe Mr. Negative will be the main villain of this movie. Now, I may be thinking, whoa, whoa, whoa! I hear the tomatoes being thrown already. Splat, splat, splat. You know, um, but hear me out. So, Spider-Man, No Way Home. Where does Aunt May work? She works for Feast, okay, a non-profit organization that is actually run by Mr. Negative in the comics, okay. So that sand is that sand, the sand's planted, okay. That seed is planted already. And then obviously the villain we're dealing with is able to be a telepath, get into the minds. That's right up Mr. Negative's alley. So I think he's the secret villain in this movie, and I think they are really playing with our thoughts with Sadie Sink's character. I think Sadie Sink is gonna play. I don't think she's gonna be Jean Grey, but I think she's gonna be another mutant-ish character that is just on the run, and the Punisher is gonna protect her because Punisher loves saving damsels in distress. I think that's gonna be the role of Sadie Sink in this movie. I don't think it's gonna be this big, elaborate, Jean Grey, huge mutant character. I think she's gonna play like a very small, like a smaller mutant. Not one of the big three of the X-Men like Jean Grey. Like, come on now. Like we don't even have Oscorp in his universe. How are we gonna get X-Men in this universe? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I think Mr. Negative is the true villain in this movie. What about you, Cam? What's your thoughts on Mr. Negative showing up, or maybe even making Scorpion the main villain, even though the trailers make it seem like that's not the case at all?
I full on agree with you. I do think Mr. Negative will be the secret little twist villain of the story.
I sold you.
Huh?
I don't like it. Hold on. I sold you on the idea of that, not me taking it back to the 1500s. But did I sell you on the idea? So I'm trying to get it.
You wanna restart that?
Oh no, we're keeping that in. We're keeping that in.
Yes, you did sell me on the idea. And I don't know, just like you said, the whole Feast thing and Mr. Negative, like owns Feast. I do feel like, there has to be some form, especially with Tombstone being he's still a popularized like little villain like in Rogue's Gallery for Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like he needs something to give him that power and that like army and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And with Sadie Singh's character, I also don't think she's gonna be Jean Grey. I I tried to convince myself that that's what's gonna happen. I feel like in this movie there's too many big names now. Too big name characters. We got Spider-Man, we got Hulk, we got the Punisher, we got Scorpion. There's now you know, Hulk, if I didn't say Hulk already.
There's maybe even Daredevil.
Yeah, maybe even Daredevil.
Hold on, there's the
There's a
hand too.
lot
I
of
forgot to mention the hand and the rogues gallery of villains in this movie. So like, what do you mean you're gonna introduce Jean Grey in a Spider-Man movie? It's supposed to be a street level movie, you know? It doesn't make sense to me. Uh,
yeah, and it just yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. I would see her in Doomsday more than anything,
yeah. Overall, I don't think Scorpion's the main villain. I don't. Maybe Sadie Sink's character is, but I think it should be Mr. Negative. I think that would be such an unexpected twist. And then speaking of the devil, Sadie Sink's character, we touched on it already, but do you have like we both agree we don't think she should be Jean Grey. No, like we don't think she's going to be Jean Grey, nor should she be Jean Grey. Just because of the movie she's in. I think Sadie Sink would probably be a fine Jean Grey. I just don't. I don't. It doesn't make sense to have X-Men in a universe that doesn't have mutants besides Wonder Man and Miss Marvel. You know. Do you have any other ideas for who Sadie Sink could be playing other than Jean Grey?
if I'm being honest, no. I really can't think of any characters that like come straight to mind. So I don't really know too many telepathic characters. Yeah,
But
right?
but but here's the thing. Mr. Negative may be the telepathic villain the trailer's talking about. So maybe Sadie Sink is playing someone like Firestar, who is a redhead and has fire abilities, but no telepathic abilities because I think it's gonna be all Mr. Negative. I think they're trying to paint Sadie Sink's character to be the telepath when it's actually Mr. Negative. So I think she could be playing someone way smaller like Firestar. Maybe even like another mutant. Maybe they put a wig on her. Maybe they make her Jubilee. Jubilee from the one of the side like lesser known mutants from the X-Men. So personally, I think she's just gonna be a way smaller character. I think it's just a lot of misdirection Marvel's doing. And then one of the I think one like the least talked about topics coming into Brand New Day is the possibility that Venom appears in this movie. I don't think it's going to happen because I truly believe Sony retconned it with Venom 3, where obviously the post-credit scene of No Way Home, Eddie gets returned back to his universe, but he leaves a goop, a Venom goop left behind. However, Venom 3 basically said that the Strange spell didn't bring him back. It was actually Null, which no, he didn't. And that the goop left behind was actually in the Venom universe. So, do you think Sony actually retconned this, or do you think they were bipolar and then they're gonna go back on that decision? Do you think Venom appears in this movie?
I don't think that he's gonna show up in this movie. I do think that they just retconned it because the going in No Way Home, I think they were like, okay, we have these kind of two strong movies for Venom. Let's see, if we can tie them together. And then Last Dance came through and kind of flopped on the numbers a little bit. And so I think they're just pulling him back and just trying to make everybody disappear. Make everybody, you know, have that thought fade away that Venom is not in this universe at all.
I'll touch on what I believe, but I forgot to mention with Sadie Saint's character, if she is playing Jean Grey, they could use the same logic as when hey, remember Morbius, that movie?
Oh yeah, the weird vampire movie that no one really liked.
Mhm. So you remember the post-credit scene of that movie?
Wasn't that with Vulture and everything?
So I think that shows that the Strange spell was kind of crap because it was made last second. So a couple mistakes happened in that Strange spell to make Vulture, a guy who knows Peter Parker's identity, he got thrown into the wrong universe. So what if the same thing happened to Jean Grey's character? What if she is playing Jean Grey but she's displaced from another universe? Maybe she knew Peter in her other universe, and the idea is about her finding her way back home. No pun intended. You know, maybe that's how she's Jean Grey.
You know what? Maybe it is, but who will know? I'm gonna have to see this in what 3 days
Mm.
from the time of this recording.
Shout out to the UFC fans and the wise words of Max Holloway. We gonna find that Saturday night, brother. But yeah. Back to Venom. I don't think he's going to be in this movie. Like you said, I truly think Sony they pulled out. Okay, I think that they totally backed out of this Venom crossover of the MCU. They're like, we're still making money with the Venom movies. Hey, we got these Spider-Man villain movies coming out. We're gonna make money, obviously. Didn't end up working out. Okay, they tried to build their own Spider-Man universe without they made Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man, essentially. Um, so and the big theory why people are saying Venom's in this movie is because, oh, his DNA's mutating. It's gotta be, maybe Venom has to do with that, because Venom, we saw when Eddie first got Venom, he messes up your organs, and when he got that MRI, and all that. But Venom is not gonna make him produce organic webbing. You know, like the aggression thing. Oh, that lines up perfectly with Venom. But Venom has never made Peter produce his own webbing. So truly,
Yeah.
Peter is truly going through a mutation. And I think it's because he was in contact with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who he found out that creates his own webbing. So his body's naturally be curious and try to replicate the same thing. And that's what's happening in Peter's movie. It's not because of Venom, unfortunately. I think he'll get the symbiote somehow in Secret Wars to recreate that iconic comic scene. I think it was like issue 7 of 1984 Secret Wars, but I think that's how it will happen. I don't think it's going to be in this street level Brand New Day movie. Also, I'm looking at this picture of the goop, and it's got like a hint of red. Now that could be lighting, it could be reflecting off the table it was on in the scene, but is that saying that, like, remember how like Venom ate Carnage? Like maybe
Yeah. Oh wow.
they never
Sony is just
touched
really messy.
they never touched on that in the third Venom movie. Venom should have been like all powerful if he has Carnage in him as well. Even though like Venom, like Carnage came from Venom in a sense, but I don't know. I didn't think about that.
I just think the Sony villain universe was just super messy, and they just did not know how to connect things or know what to do with plot holes and stuff.
All right, we have another interesting one. This one is one I haven't seen at all. Okay, it's been me being vocal about this. Okay, Shang-Chi or even Iron Fist showing up in this movie. Now, hear me out. First off, the obvious part why Shang-Chi would even be mentioned is the director of this movie, Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi. Obviously has desires to make a Shang-Chi 2, but it's probably not going to happen. But, yeah. So not only is the director-actor connection there, but also Shang-Chi has there's got to be some bridge from him back in 2021 to somehow joining the Avengers in the biggest Avengers movie of all time. Like, he's just gonna teleport. Like, I think it would be kind of smart to include him in this movie so that a movie that's going to be shown to millions of people are going to be reminded of Shang-Chi again. Why not put Shang-Chi in a movie that's going to make at least $1 billion to remind people that this character exists, and somehow bring him into New York because he lives in California. So we have to. I think it would be smart to put Shang-Chi in this movie because he might have a decent role in Avengers Doomsday. Bro's fighting Gambit. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's for Shang-Chi. Why I think he's kind of likely to be in this movie, to be honest. Even the reason I'm also including Iron Fist is because there's rumors that he's going to be back for season 3 of Daredevil Born Again. But that's not even the biggest reason. But that's part of the reason because you want to put him in a big movie like this to hype up the show, because people then are going to assume that he's going to be in Born Again season 3. But Iron Fist literally has a deep connection to the Hand, which are going to be somewhat of, like, one of the many villains in this movie. The Hand took out his parents. Hand killed his parents, so he's got a deep connection. I think at the end of Defenders, I think him and his girl were like, we're going to stay in New York. So I think Iron Fist is still in New York. Same with Luke Cage, same with Jessica Jones. So I think he's gonna. I think there's a decent chance he might be in this movie. Same with Shang-Chi. They also have very extensive martial arts experience, which is what Destin Daniel Cretton is all about. So that's my reasoning. That's me defending these two characters. Cam, are you going to defend as well, or are you going to try to prosecute me? Are you on the other side?
I'm not. I don't think I'm necessarily both. I think it's
Are
going to be
you
the same thing with Daredevil.
are you
I
fence
do
sitting?
think
Are you
that
fence sitting?
I I think these are just too big of names and just too big of characters to just put into the movie. I
That's
would
fair.
see it if they gave like a name drop or like something on the TV or a billboard or something.
But
But
how
I
does
just don't think
Shang-Chi go from 5 years like gap to the biggest Avengers movie? There's gotta be some bridge. This is the only one. He's not gonna be in Vision Quest, you know. He may be
with them for the
sling ringed.
longest
He might
time.
just be sling ringed in.
Yeah. But like I said, I think it's just gonna be a name drop or just like a billboard or just like a news headline, something because I I just don't really see them fitting just a like a really oddball into the movie. Because like yes, they do have like connections to Spider-Man, but especially for this grounded movie, I should say, where it's like a reborn version of Spider-Man. I don't think they're gonna be like those characters in this film. You know what I mean?
I do, unfortunately. I see where you're coming from, I guess.
I'm sorry.
All right, and I think a very interesting one that might happen in this movie. I think it's more likely than people think, but I think there's a small possibility that we could actually get a Miles Morales cameo. And this isn't Miles Morales as Spider-Man. We're not talking about that. This is Miles Morales and his mom showing up in a brief scene as Peter's leaving his apartment. Because at the end of No Way Home, you can vividly hear a woman with a Hispanic accent saying, "Hey Miles." It's very clear. So I could see a scene where it's just a brief scene of, they could even be in the background. Maybe they won't get a line of dialogue, but we're gonna see a scene of Peter leaving his apartment, and then we see a character that looks like Miles Morales and a character that looks like his mom. I think that's very very likely, because bro, that scene in No Way Home, it was a weird scene because it was extremely forced. But you remember the scene where Electro's like, "Man, wish there was a black Spider-Man. There's gotta be one out there."
Yeah, I feel like that was like kind of forced. Just like after a crossing into the Spider Verse,
Hmm.
they kind of just wanted to put Miles's name out there. But I feel like at the end of No Way Home, where they did have that little subtle thing where it if you don't listen to it, you're not gonna catch it.
Hmm.
So I feel like it was intentional for them to put that in there and be like, hey, keep your eye out, that kind of sort of thing. And I do agree with you, just putting him in the back where, Peter's coming out of his room, his apartment, or something like he saves Miles from like a car being thrown at him or something,
Hmm.
or like debris.
The usual in
But
the
just something
Spider-Man
like,
movie.
yeah, just like something really quick. It doesn't have to be super significant. Just something that's gonna take maybe like 15 seconds of the movie.
Hmm. So the movie's called Brand New Day.
Also,
What if this movie all along is just Tom Holland's Peter Parker dying, and then Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man? What if that's the Brand New Day?
you know what? I'd be very sad that Peter Parker will die because not gonna lie, as of right now, as of not gonna lie, a couple months ago, I became a really big fan of Tom Holland Spider Man. Rewatching all the movies,
He's the most
rewatching all the Spider Man
underrated.
movies.
He's the one in the MCU, but
He
yeah, he's the most
is.
underrated somehow.
But he is so good though, because my favorite used to be Andrew Garfield. I think that's just because of nostalgia based, and I just grew up with Andrew Garfield Spider Man.
Yeah.
But I'm Tom Holland has just been really growing on me, and I just don't want to see this little baby boy go.
No, I think Tom Holland is really good at Spider-Man. I think I something I we haven't gotten a lot since like the Russos directed him. Like, it's like his banter. It hasn't been the greatest in the Spider-Man movies, but my goodness, in Civil War, his banter with Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, it's fantastic. I think we're gonna get like the best interpretation of his Spider-Man, because this is going to be obviously, like, we're gonna see Peter be sad and all that. His personal life's gonna fall apart. We're gonna see him learn that isolation isn't good. But I think this is gonna be a big, like, Spider-Man movie for him. The other movies have been a lot on Peter Parker. I think this one's gonna be heavily on Spider-Man. I think we're gonna get the best interpretation of his Spider-Man yet. All right, next up, I personally believe that I think that either Sam Wilson's Avengers team or the New Avengers will try to recruit Spider-Man for a brief scene in this movie. I could very well see the Thunderbolts, who don't have the hottest, approval rating right now. We heard that in the post-credit scene of the movie, that the people don't really believe in them. No one's telling them about the space crisis happening. So they're gonna need, to try to recruit the most popular superhero on the planet right now, which is Spider-Man. So I could definitely see Yelena, maybe just her. Maybe Yelena or Bucky, Yelena or Red Guardian go try to recruit Spider-Man in this movie. He's be like, nah, I'm good. Just like he did to Tony Stark at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. So then I could also see Sam Wilson try in this movie. Because Sam Wilson has obviously been doing some recruiting. Somehow he got Shang-Chi to join his team, as we saw in the trailer for Doomsday. Shang-Chi's in the X-Men universe fighting the X-Men, so obviously Sam Wilson recruited that man. So I think both teams are going to be doing some recruiting in this movie. Do you think we actually see a brief scene from either of these teams trying to sign the hottest free agent on the market since LeBron, Spider-Man?
I personally don't think that Peter is gonna be recruited by any team, really, if I'm being honest. Because the simple fact of there is a lot of speculation that this movie is maybe taking place during Doomsday or around the same time.
True.
Doctor Doom. What I'm thinking is gonna happen in Doomsday is that at the end, Doomsday is gonna save the remainder of the dying universes during like the collapse of like the multiverse and their incursions, and it's gonna create what is Battle World, and we're gonna see probably many versions of Spider-Man, and that's where I kind of see our Spider-Man kind of handling with the Avengers and all of that. But I don't personally think that like the Thunderbolts or like the new Avengers that are lined up are going to be interacting with him during this movie.
Just say I'm stupid. You don't love me. You don't agree with me. That's all you have to say.
I never said that.
That's how I felt. This means something to me. Alright, so Mr. Matt Murdock, will he be in this film? So Daredevil is like a top 3 favorite character for me. It's literally like him, Spider-Man, Punisher, and there's a huge chance all 3 of them show up in this film. But even from someone that is dying to see them, I actually don't think he's gonna be in this film. Even though he was in Spider-Man No Way Home, there's that seed there already. I don't think he's gonna be in this movie. I think Marvel's trying to bait us. I think they're playing for our feelings. So I guess I'll go into why I don't believe he's going to be in this movie. So obviously, at the end of Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Matt ends up in jail, and then what do we see in the first Spider-Man trailer? A prison fight scene with the freaking Hand. Hand are his, most notorious villain organization he's fought so far in the MCU. The Hand is an ancient ninja organization, and their whole thing is to find a way to get mortality and power money, and Daredevil has been squandering their plans since like 2015. So and then they came out of nowhere. The Hand is back, so obviously people are going to think, oh yeah, surely Daredevil's going to fight the Hand in this movie. I think it's bait. I think the Hand are there to potentially maybe break out Scorpion or do like hire someone to take out Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's obviously going to be the next Daredevil for them, a red hero that's going to take away their criminal organization. I think they're probably going to hire maybe like Scorpion, a guy who already hates Spider-Man, has made it known, to go take him out for him. Similar to like in the comics, J. Jameson literally funded the project for the Scorpion project to take out Spider-Man. I thought that was really funny when I was doing research for this movie, but yeah, I think it's bait. Because Daredevil Born Again Season 3 still has to happen. He's obviously going to start in jail, like The only way I think he's in this movie is if like the Hand are there to assassinate him, and Spider-Man obviously stops that from happening because he's like, "Oh, that's my lawyer, dog." Um, and maybe Spider-Man offers to break him out after they defeat Hand, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna serve my sentence because I'm a lawyer and I'm gonna abide by the rules." Um, but if that doesn't happen, I don't think he's in this movie because Daredevil season 3 has to happen. He's got to get out of jail somehow. He's probably not gonna serve his sentence. Like I don't even know what he's being charged for. Bro was a hero, and they made a deal with Kingpin, but didn't make a deal with Matt. Makes absolutely no sense. Fisk got to go living on an island doing God knows what. Hopefully, no nefarious things. But yeah, that's my overall thought. I think the Hand are there to break out Scorpion, not to assassinate Matt Murdock. What are your thoughts, Cam? Will Daredevil be in this movie?
See, whenever I saw the first trailer, I was like, okay, I think Matt Murdock is going to be in this movie. But going on in these past couple of months, I started thinking, I'm like, it's getting really, like the chances for him, it's getting really low. I do think they're gonna mention his name either from Frank or from somebody in the prison, maybe, possibly. I have no idea, but I think it's a better chance for us hearing his name than seeing him actually appear as a little cameo.
That's fair because I think they are going to make some reference to Born Again because in the first trailer we did see the interim mayor. I think she was the political advisor for Wilson Fisk for his campaign. She was the one handing the key to the city of Spider-Man in the first trailer. So obviously making Born Again bleed into Brand New Day. So I think there. I like what you're saying. I think there could definitely be a reference on like the news. Because that scene of Ned and MJ watching the television, seeing the key being presented to Spider, and the very next coverage on that news channel could be talking about Matt Murdock and jail. So I think I believe in the idea that he will appear in this movie, but not on screen. All right, and the last topic we're going to discuss in this video is will we get a new love interest for Peter Parker? Now, as you see in this background, my man can pull, so he's got a lot of options. And obviously, MJ doesn't remember who Peter Parker is. Maybe it's for the best, or maybe they backtrack and make her remember. I kind of hope that doesn't happen. I think we should move on. The reason I don't like this version of MJ with Spider-Man, is that I remember they were on the phone talking to each other in No Way Home, and MJ asked him, why do you even like me? And he starts joking and saying, stuff like, oh, like, you're amazing at sports, joking around. But I feel like it's actually because, I don't know, he just thinks she's pretty. Why do these characters love each other? It's what I've never understood with this relationship in the MCU. So I think they should move on. I think Spider-Man should find someone new. And maybe Sadie Sink's playing that character. Unlikely. But maybe, maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's Kate Bishop. Maybe it's maybe they bring in Black Cat. She never got her role in the Amazing Spider-Man series. Maybe maybe he meets the actual Mary Jane Watson. He just can't stay away from the initials. What do you think, Cam? Do you think he's gonna find a new love interest, or just go back to where he's comfortable?
I don't know. It could be a 50-50 because I could see them going back the route where like the spell does break and then MJ remembers him somehow. I don't know how, but
Somehow Palpatine returned.
yeah. And but I do see that probably like at the end of the movie, like very end,
Yeah.
where they, even though it goes against of me of bringing new big name characters in, but I see them, if they're going to do this, I see them doing this at the very end, just introducing a small character of like Black Cat or like the actual MJ or Gwen, just having a small interaction with Peter.
Black Cat would actually be interesting because obviously Peter's dealing with a mutation that's making him a worse version of himself. And Black Cat, it represents all the things you shouldn't go after a woman. The lustful aspects. She's a thief as well. So I think that would be a good juxtaposition of who he is as a person. and then him eventually realizing, yeah, like she's pretty and all, but you look behind that, that's just not what I'm into. Um, I, I feel like they're not going to introduce a new love interest, but I feel like Black Cat would be the only interesting one to create some kind of character development. But that's just me. All right, so that is all of our last minute thoughts before this movie comes out. All of our little schizo thoughts in our brain needed to come out. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen in this movie, and I kind of like that. I have a crap ton of theories, but a lot of them are off the wall. Um, None have stuck. They've all splat and fell to the ground. And I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think it's probably gonna be the best MCU Spider-Man movie, maybe Spider-Man movie in general. But that is a tough bar because Tobey Maguire 1 and 2 are very near and dear to my heart, especially Spider-Man 2. Such an inspirational story. But this movie has potential to be up there. I truly believe that, and I hope it is. But yeah, those are all of our personal thoughts. Make sure to let me know in the comments your personal theories on what may happen in this movie, and maybe some fears of yours that'll happen in this movie. But overall, what do you think is going to happen? Make sure to let us know. But that's it for me. Any last thoughts, Cam? You want to tell everyone?
Uh, thank you. No, just thank you for having me. I had a blast here, just putting my little mind to work.
And shout out Ryan Gosling.
Shout out Ryan Gosling.